Welcome to the Money Savvy Parents Podcast, the podcast for parents to gain financial education to then pass on through the generations. I am your host, Laura, mother to 3 beautiful children and founder of a financial coaching business, Savvy Peacocks. Let's remove the taboo from money together. Thank you so much for coming back to the podcast and listening in for our 4th episode. Today we're going to talk about something that's not talked about very often, but is around more to do with the mindset of money and your approach rather than the math. So let's delve in and listen to the question from the audience.
Hi Laura, it's Kwabena here. Just a quick question. Every time I have a conversation with my partner about money, it becomes a little bit heated. Is there any way you could share your thoughts on this and how to approach this in the future? Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much for your question there. Yeah, absolutely. Talking to your partner can be scary, and I'm sorry that it's causing you anxiety. There's a few things that you can do that we're going to talk over today that I hope you'll find really useful. So the first tip I would say is to remove that pressure of looking at figures. Talk about the true meaning of the money topics that you want to talk about. What does money mean to you? Think about each of you, how you approach your money, and that may well be different. So until you delve in and understand your approach towards money, then you're not really going to know. I've created a quiz around this called Money Languages. So I will certainly be popping a link in the show notes for you to have a look at that with your partner. And understand that you might be able to direct that conversation in a more successful way by understanding how your partner approaches money and their thoughts on it and what emotions are attached to it. So before you're going to sit down and talk to your partner about money, I would start off by being really open and honest with them, acknowledging that it is awkward and that you want to be able to talk to them about money without it being anxious and certainly without it causing an argument. So you're really laying the groundwork there about your intentions and the fact that you want it to be a productive conversation. Now, this may sound obvious, but it's not always the most obvious thing. So I just want to give you a little hint and tip here around being careful of where you are and when you start the conversation. If it's going to catch the other person off guard, then it probably is not the right time to discuss money, and it certainly might not start off in the best footing. So plan in advance when you're going to have that discussion. So it would be really easy for you to say, look, I do want to sit down and talk to you about money. I am feeling a bit awkward about it. It does make me feel anxious. Can we choose a day and a time now where we can sit down and talk about our money situation and our financials? So you should be encouraged to hold what I call a money date, ideally on a monthly basis. Now, this is just caveated with the fact that I'd also love it if you could have real dates as well. So please don't make your only opportunity to have a date to be about money. So when I say money date, what I mean is taking the time on the last Thursday of the month to sit down. You can just sit down in the lounge once the children have gone to bed and take the time to review and talk about how things are going in a quiet way. But still, please go out and have your dates as a couple and talk about things that are far more important than these topics. So it's really important that you get both of those elements into your relationship. And before you sit down and look at those figures during that money date, take the time to talk about your dreams. What are your top priorities? Why is it important to you? Maybe you could start talking about some of the memories that you've created from achieving your previous money goals. How has it made you feel? Maybe you could talk about how you want to approach money within the household and how does that compare to how you were raised as a child. Hopefully you've listened to my previous episodes around including children within the household and within these money topics. So really take the time to start off the conversation around what's been successful, what has that meant to you, how have you enjoyed achieving that money goal and what that's meant to you. And quite often this can be about talking about family trips out or holidays, or maybe there's something in particular you've done in the house or that you've bought, just to really home in the true value and the true emotion behind that conversation and why it's important to keep having that conversation. And then from there, you can take the opportunity to delve into the figures. But again, start off with the real simple things of, okay, so what's our budget looking like? How close are we to achieving these goals that we're setting out? I'm going to talk later on in a few episodes down around how to set up a zero spending planner, which is basically like a budget, but it's just a different way around things. So have a look at what's been going in and out. Is there any ways in which you can save money? Anything can be removed? Because that's a great starting point to look at how can you improve your finances rather than pointing out what's not gone so well. Let's look at, okay, well, we set the budget of spending £500 a month on food, but in the last month we actually got up to £620. So what can we do to reduce that down within our budget? And are you happy with where your money is being allocated? So you'll hear within a zero spending planner episode around how at the start of the month you allocate out where all your money is going to be going. So throughout time, you might want to reallocate where that money's going. Your money might need to be assigned to new things, or it might be that you feel like you've got enough money set aside for one goal and you want to start working on another. And this is where the goals bit comes in. So from that stage, once you've made sure that you're happy with where all your money is going and you've checked that there are any ways in which you could save some money, you can then move on to your money goals. So what are your short-term goals, your medium goals, and your long-term goals? Where are you against those? Do you need to reassign some of your money? Do you need to look at reassessing them? Or maybe you've achieved some of your short-term goals and you want to start involving some more goals. And the reason I think this is important is because if you don't have a goal and you don't have an emotion attached to that goal, then you're going to be far less likely to want to work towards it because it's just for no reason. I really don't believe in a rainy day fund because that's not going to inspire you to save into that pot of money. But if you can say it's important to us to have an amount of money in case one of us loses our jobs, then that's the emotion that's attached to it. And therefore, you'll be more likely to save against that goal than you are just in case, which is just reframing the wording. So you can look at where you are against them and if you need to reassign any money. Like I say, if you're nearing on achieving your money goals, then you might want to reassign them into other goals. And then from there, divvy up the actions between you. So I believe that it's important that you take shared responsibility of your finances, even if one of you is the earner and one of you is looking after the household, or you have a different earning amount between you. It's important that if you are 100% both in this relationship, then it is a shared responsibility and that you can divvy up any actions that come from this conversation. What needs reviewing, what needs amending, who's going to do what, why is that important, so that it's a complete shared responsibility. And within that, you're ensuring that the money is split equally as well, that you are both having an opportunity to create the best possible financial status for yourself, your own financial independence. Because if you are 100% in the relationship, then you are both of you working towards whatever is important to you within that relationship and important to you individually, regardless of your income amount and regardless of who takes on what responsibilities within your family and your partnership. So after you've had this joint conversation, you might then like to look at your own personal finances. And as I said, how financially independent are you from the relationship can bring a great sense of comfort. And if you don't feel like you're financially independent from that relationship, then opening up that conversation to say, how can we make sure that this is really equal? How can we ensure that we are both setting ourselves up for the future? Because you just don't know what the future holds. And when you think about things like retirement and things like that, it's important that you are both equally set up for your retirement, not just because one of you was working and one of you wasn't, and therefore you're not set up financially. So after you've looked at the figures, I would suggest you then go back to your dreams, your memories, how you are feeling now with a better line of sight, and finish it off with how you will feel when you achieve those money goals. So attach those words to what you've set up. So you're going to take your actions and then say, okay, well, it's important to me to achieve this medium-term goal because this will be how it makes me feel. And therefore, you're going to be much more driven to achieve that money goal between you. So just to recap, what I would say is I all too often see partners and relationships focusing too much heavily on the figures instead of the important bits on the side. So I always say fluff it up. Get those memories, get those dreams in, talk about the real reason why you're having that conversation. Don't make it all about the numbers. Ensure that you choose the right moment to have that discussion, prepare beforehand, and talk about money on a regular basis. I really hope you found that useful. I'd love to hear from you around how this has impacted in your relationship and how you found this process, and any other ideas that come forward and what's worked for you. And I'd love to be able to share that within my social media. So please feel free to leave those comments in a review, or you can certainly DM me on Instagram. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to speaking to you again in my next episode. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to Money Savvy Parents. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please subscribe and post your money questions within a review for future episodes. If you want to learn more, then please join my Money Savvy Parents Facebook group or club on Clubhouse. Let's remove the taboo from money together.